Well, I come on camera. Good morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order. This is our TV Toastmasters club meeting for Saturday, October 19th. And as Joy always says, we're a small and mighty club. Unfortunately, it looks like Joy, who is our club president, who ordinarily would be opening the meeting and kind of being the MC until we actually introduce the Toastmaster. Uh, Joy is not going to be here today, unfortunately. I think she had some internet issues. At least the text we got a few minutes ago said she's probably not going to be joining. So unless her internet kind of comes back on and she surprises us, I think we're going to assume that she's not going to be here today. So we do have one speaker today, Jeff. He is going to be giving a speech on I believe being a club coach and the whole pathways program. I think we'll learn more about Jeff's speech in a few minutes. Apart from that, we did have Joy as a potential speaker, but Joy is not going to be here today. And I did notice is Mr. Handy is Mr. Handy an AI bot of some kind recording the meeting, or is Mr. Handy an actual guest?
The meeting's being recorded. I saw it today. Um,
Is that who Mr.
Mr. Handy is a friend of mine. He'll be joining us shortly.
Okay, so should I reach out to Mr. Handy and get details as
It won't be necessary.
okay, will you send details then? Can you send
Yeah,
me details from
yeah,
Mr. Handy then?
yes.
Okay, okay, very good. Okay, so with that, I believe I will turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day, who is Betsy. Betsy is driving in our car, but I believe is in the passenger seat, so has agreed to be the Toastmaster of the day. And I think Betsy does have our agenda for the meeting. So, Betsy, would you like to take it over as Toastmaster from here?
all right. Well, welcome everybody. Our theme is Halloween, but you could also think of it as fall. The colors are really beautiful, and I hope you take some time to enjoy them. I'm in Indiana, and I'm headed to West Lafayette to meet some family members. So I'll go ahead and first Jeff has offered to introduce the guest, so I'm going to call on Jeff to introduce the guest.
Yeah, you'll find out who Mr. Handy is during my speech. So that's all I'll say. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you. And I'll go ahead with the meeting roles. And if you could describe your role, that I'd appreciate it. So first we have Veronica as timer.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And I will say first that as timer, I time table topics and I time our speeches. Jeff, is your speech 5 to 7 minutes? Thank you so much. All right. And table topics is 1 to 2 minutes. I will be showing the green at 1. I will show the yellow at 1.5, and I will show the red at 2. Now, is anybody on the call colorblind?
No,
No,
I am
I
not.
think you would have told me in advance at some point the years of experience I've had with you, but it's always possible. That said, I will also show the green at 5 minutes during the speech and the yellow at 2 minutes, at 6 minutes during the speech, and the red at 7 minutes during the speech for evaluators, who happens to be me today. I will show myself the green at 2 minutes, the yellow at 2.5, and the red at 3. Thank you, Ed. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
All right, thank you very much. And now I'll call on the word counter grammarian, that is David Ash. Can you explain your role in the word of the day?
Yes, thank you, Betsy, Madam Toastmaster. Yes, I'm going to be doing the grammarian role, and a lot of that role is just as Betsy says, the awe counter. I'm going to be noticing or trying to notice things like double clutches or filler words like or ah or but or so, things you just throw in which do not add a lot of meaning. In addition, I'm going to help everyone improve their vocabulary just a little bit by introducing a word of the day. And I'm going to try to share my screen here so I can show what the word of the day here is. And if it doesn't come through, the word of the day is transcendent to our transcendent. And I will also copy that into the chat. So the word of the day just means extending or lying beyond the limits of ordinary experience or being beyond comprehension. So if you can use the word transcendent in your table topic speeches or your longer speeches, that would be great. So that is our word of the day. And I will be, as grammarian and all counter, I will be both counting the ahs and the ums and that kind of thing. And I'm also going to be counting the more positive usage of the word of the day. So that is the role that I'm going to be taking as grammarian. Thank you. And back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
All right, thank you very much. Veronica will also be the evaluator. Do you want to say anything about that, Veronica? About what you'll be looking for?
Certainly. Jeff is going to be speaking about coaching, and he has been our coach for approximately a year already. He's been a wonderful coach, has really helped with pulling our meetings to be more exciting. This meeting is very exciting because we've had some last minute absences. We're usually a stronger force. But that said, I will be looking for gestures, vocal variety, word usage. Actually, that will be David's role. But if you say something really fascinating, something very transcendental, then I will make a note of that. And also, I I look for speech structure, and the traditional structure is introduce the topic, perhaps 3 points, and then your 3 points, and then conclude with your summary of your 3 points. But there are other structures. And so I'm really fascinated to see what this advanced speaker is going to do with his speech. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to hearing the speech. And for table topics, David Ash will be doing the table topics, and I'm going to go ahead and call on you to do the table topics and explain what it is. David?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And do you want me to just explain what it is, or do you want me to then, after I've explained it, to then jump in and actually start the table topics?
Yeah, both. Maybe a brief explanation and then jump in.
Okay, so you're ready to actually do it once I explain. Great. So thank you again, Madam Toastmaster. So table topics is the part of our meeting where we give everyone a chance to talk. And it's also the most challenging kind of a speech that anyone can be asked to do, because it is an impromptu speech. It's challenging enough to have to give a speech where one has a chance to prepare. But in table topics, you have to give a speech off the cuff. You get a random question that I'm going to pick out for you, and you'll be asked to speak for just 1 or 2 minutes. So it does not need to be a long speech. Just speak for 1 or 2 minutes. I think Veronica will bring out the green at 1 minute, and then the yellow at 1.5 minutes, and red at 2 minutes, and that'll be the time to wrap up. And I'll be asking questions. All questions today will be drawn from this hat here, and this bag here, and they're all going to be related to Halloween. And because we're a kind of a small meeting today, it may be a kind of a double round robin, or even maybe a triple round robin. I'm going to kind of call on everyone in turn. And it is an opportunity for everyone to speak. So I'm not going to call on Mr. Handy immediately, but given that the default, Jeff did not make the default clear, and the default is that I'm going to call on everyone. So if Mr. Handy is an AI bot and is not able to speak, that's fine. We'll find that out. But I do want to call on everyone and give them a chance. But I'm going to call, I think I'm going to call on Veronica first, if that's okay with you, Veronica. Can I call on you first? Okay, very good. So the first table topic question of the day, pulling out at random here. And I'd like to say these all are Halloween questions today. Okay, here is a good first Halloween question for you, Veronica. Veronica, do you think children or adults enjoy Halloween more? Do you think children or adults enjoy Halloween more?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. I don't know. And therefore, I will start with a guess. My sister and one of my neighbors starts putting up Halloween decorations outside their house in September. While their husbands say it's too early, and they get a lot of joy out of it. So there are sheets draped over trees and cobwebs and skeletons and things coming out of the ground. They get quite the kick out of it. I live in a particular neighborhood that doesn't have a lot of kids, and therefore I don't see kids on Halloween. But when I was growing up, I enjoyed Halloween particularly because I was a candy hound. I loved candy. And I would say that that in itself, now we were rationed. So no matter how much candy I got, I could only have whatever 2 pieces a night. And that was it for dessert. But I will say that for me, I truly loved Halloween just because I really like candy. Thank you. And back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Veronica. Betsy, can I call on you next?
Sure.
Okay, so I have my little bag here somewhere. I'm going to pull out my next question here. Okay, this could be a fun question. Betsy, on Halloween, do you prefer to get a treat or a trick? Do you prefer a treat or a trick on Halloween?
Well, on Halloween just happens to be the day after my birthday. So I'm probably thinking more about my birthday, but I definitely would treats than tricks. So I have to say that I would prefer a treat and maybe a birthday celebration and maybe also do the Halloween. In Springboro where I live, that Halloween is always on the 31st. I don't have to worry about it being on the 30th. So I'll do the treats. We don't get a lot of trick-or-treaters. I don't do a lot of the decorations because we don't get a lot of trick-or-treaters. But I enjoy the few decorations I have. I have a wreath out, and hopefully everybody will enjoy the Halloween that does come to our house, and our family will enjoy the birthday celebration. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Betsy. And happy birthday coming up fairly soon. And I'm going to call on Jeff next. I know you're giving a speech today, but we're kind of a small club today, so I think everyone is going to need to do double or probably triple duty because I'm going to probably do a double round robin here on table topics, given that we only have one speech. So Jeff, can you take a question?
Yes.
Okay, Jeff. So my next question from the bag here. Okay, Jeff, what do you see as the most positive aspects of Halloween for children? What are the positive aspects of Halloween for children?
What are the positive aspects of Halloween for children?
Yep.
I'm going to go back in time when I was a child, just a couple years ago. I remember the most positive aspect was candy. Let's address the elephant in the room, candy. We lived in a neighborhood in Cincinnati. Every street was connected. So this was an old neighborhood, and you could walk for miles and miles navigating each block and each street. So we would take a pillowcase, and you would take that pillowcase out, and you wouldn't come back until it was filled to the brim with candy because there were so many houses. That was a time, an era where it wasn't as dangerous as it is now. This particular neighborhood wasn't the safest neighborhood then. It certainly isn't now. At any rate, you would fill up that candy pillowcase and you would bring it back, and that would last you for a whole year. But I suppose to get to your point, it was more than just the candy. It was just the community, being able to go out, meet your neighbors, meet the people on the street a couple blocks down from you that maybe you don't run into on a normal basis, and the giving and receiving aspect that you would learn as a child. Somebody's just giving you this without any expectation of a return. So that there was that underlying message of Halloween. The friendships, you would go out with your friends, you would always be with your friends. So it wasn't just about the candy, it was about the friendships, the community, and the giving and the receiving. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Jeff. And that's quite amazing. Either you got more candy as a kid if you could make it last a year, or alternatively, you were more let's say less of a glutton in actually consuming it.
I was a
It
hoarder.
never
Go
lasts
ahead and say
more
it.
than
I was a hoarder, a candy hoarder.
order. Great. Okay, so next I am going to call on Mr. Handy, and if Mr. Handy does not respond, that's perfectly fine. If, so, Mr. Handy, are you able to take a question or not? That looks like a thumbs down there. So I'm assuming no, that's not going to happen. Okay, very good. So I do think, given that we're a small group today, I do think we should do a double round robin and kind of circle around one more time before we get to speeches. So, Veronica, I believe you would be next. So
Would it be possible for you to take a question?
I could, yeah, but I still think we should do a double round robin though. So I can do a question.
Hey, David, can you explain what a double round robin is? I'm not familiar with it.
Well, I'm going to ask everyone twice. So
Oh, okay.
I've asked everyone once, but I'm going to be coming back to everyone. Okay. Okay, so this question here, it's the opposite side of the coin from the question that was just answered. So my question is, what aspects of Halloween are a bit problematic? What aspects of Halloween are a bit problematic or negative for kids? Okay, well, obviously candy is one big thing that kids do at Halloween. They go out a lot for and get all this candy, and obviously candy is not the healthiest thing for kids. And I would say that even as an adult, having done Halloween trick or treating many years ago, I would say it probably played a factor in me having a bit of a sweet tooth. And I definitely have my favorite of junk food. It's kind of a bad habit of mine, even to this day. And I can't really get through. I hate to say it, but I have a tough time even now getting through a day without having at least one bag of chips at some point during the day. In fact, probably sometime after this Toastmasters meeting, I'm going to probably need that fix for the day. And I don't know whether that's solely related to Halloween, but I would say Halloween is certainly one thing that led to that. I would go out for Halloween treats, and I would be a glutton, more of a glutton than a hoarder. So I would come back and be kind of done with my Halloween treats by maybe a few weeks into November, and then I'd ask my parents whether I could then buy candy because my Halloween candy was gone, and they'd often say yes. So I think it had that kind of negative that negative habit of buying buying a lot of candy. I would say the only other thing about Halloween that maybe is not so positive is that it's maybe not it maybe does not focus on the transcendent in life in a very positive way. So you get a lot of stuff like ghosts and goblins and that sort of thing, which are maybe not they may be fun, but they may be not the most uplifting to the human spirit in certain ways. So I say there's that side of things. So anyway, those two are the negative things. The maybe not so uplifting and becoming a god. So back to myself as table topics master. Okay, and Veronica, can you now take your second question? Okay. Well, I'm going to take again from the bag here. Okay, Veronica, have you already put up Halloween decorations this year? Have you put up Halloween decorations?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. I'm going to act like a politician and pretend you asked a different question.
Very, very much on the
Now,
rules.
I believe that in Mexico and perhaps other Latin American countries, that they celebrate the Day of the Dead. And I think that Halloween evolved from that celebration. I could be completely wrong, but I have seen some things on TV about people dressing up as ghosts, and I believe they also do it in Mardi Gras, Louisiana, which I haven't been to either. But what I like about it, from what I know about Day of the Dead, is that they honor their ancestors. And I believe that honoring your ancestors is something that all of us, that transcendent aspect of life and death, is something that we should honor. We should respect and honor those who came before us, the battles they fought, the lessons they learned, the lessons they taught. I honor and respect all mothers and fathers, anybody who raises kids, whatever gender, it doesn't matter. And I do believe that the same should go for ancestors. And I believe that many, many, many religions do do practice that celebration of honoring one's ancestors. Perhaps we don't do that as much as we should in the US. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Veronica, for that. And yes, that I probably should have explained that at the beginning, but that is definitely acceptable to answer a different question or maybe a similar question if the question that is asked does not quite fit your wheelhouse and it's not quite the right question to answer. So with that, and yes, that is definitely a more transcendent way of looking at Halloween, that in looking at ancestors rather than simply putting up some kind of a skeleton which reminds you of the dead but doesn't really connect with your ancestors. So thank you for that, and I think that was a more transcendent answer. Betsy, can you give your second and final table topics answer now? I will take
Sure,
another question. Okay,
sure.
so my second and final question for you is, Betsy, do you enjoy going to Halloween parties, or do you prefer to skip the whole thing? Enjoy going to Halloween parties or not?
Yes, I enjoy parties. I don't go to a lot of them, but most of the ones I go to recently are at work because we have a social team. I'm part of the social team, and we're planning a pretty big bash on the 31st. We have to, we still telework on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. So all of our in-person meetings and any celebrations are on a Wednesday or Thursday when we do come in. And so it just happens that Halloween this year is on a Thursday. So we're having our Halloween celebration on Halloween, and we're going to have a chili cook-off, a contest for cooking chili, and we are going to have a costume party, and then we're also going to have a walk for support of breast cancer research, because October is also Breast Cancer Research Month. So I definitely enjoy, I'm on the social committee, so I'm planning it. So I definitely enjoy Halloween parties, and looking forward to the next one. So back to you, Table Topics Master David.
Thank you, Betsy. And Jeff, would you care to take your second and final table topics question?
Sure, sure.
Okay, so going to the bag here, see what we can come up with here for the next question. It's kind of a strange one here. Jeff, can you describe your most memorable Halloween or why you skip Halloween? So your most memorable Halloween, I guess, if you had one, or why you skip it entirely?
Yes. I can remember a very memorable Halloween. There's been many. We have a daughter. Let's see, she's going to be 26 early next year. But when she was 2 and 3 years old, and you dressed her up in the little Halloween outfits, she got so excited. She was shaking. She was so excited to go out and participate in Halloween. But by the time Halloween rolled around, 7 p.m., she had reached her breaking point and she was a mess. So I remember those days fondly now. At the time, it was maybe a little stressful. The Halloween that I really remember that sticks out in my mind, you're going to love this because we have a couple dog lovers on the call with us, Betsy and Veronica. We had some beagles and beagle mixes. One particular beagle mix was fond of food. Let's face it, all beagles are food motivated. This particular beagle mix was off the charts. She would do anything for food. She would stand on her hind legs and twirl around, lay down, roll over, just anything for food. Well, this was near Halloween. We had all of our candy setting up on the table. That's the problem with food motivated dog. You have to make sure food is not in their path. This is a medium-sized dog, so it's not like she could jump up on the counter, but this bags and bags of Halloween candy. These were Twix bars, Hershey bars, I think Reese's cups. They were all up on the table, in the center of the table where she couldn't get to it. She climbed up on the chair while we were out of the house, pulled off all of that candy, and she ate all of it. I'm like 3 full bags of Twix bars, Hershey's, and Reese's cups. Nothing left. Even the wrappers were gone. So we're worried because chocolate is poisonous to dogs, but in the amount with Reese cups and the amount that you have in Twix bars, it wasn't much. So anyway, she survived, and we found little wrappers in the yard for weeks after that. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster, Table Talks Master.
Thank you for that. And now I will give myself one final question, and then we will be done with table topics for today. So I'm going to go back to the bag here and pull out my final question. Okay, what is your favorite treat to receive on Halloween, and why? Well, since I think I said in my earlier answer that I did love the candy as a kid and did become a glutton. This gives me a number of gluttonous choices to choose from. I would say I would say these I don't know what you really call them, but there are these little candy things where there's a bunch of it's kind of a strip maybe about this long, and there's probably about a dozen candies in there, and they're all different colors. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to, but it's a certain type of candy that one often gets at Halloween. And I really enjoy those those a lot. The Reese's cups I think were often given out for for Halloween for candy, so I definitely enjoy those those a lot. Bags of chips were definitely also also a lot of fun to get. I'm trying to think of anything else that I really enjoy. The only thing I know that as a kid, anything related to apples or that kind of thing, I was not allowed to eat, even though those probably would be healthier, just because there was that fear that it would be poison or there'd be a razor blade or that kind of thing was kind of a fear at the time. So unfortunately, the healthier choices were actually ruled out. Not that I would have necessarily picked the healthier choices, but nevertheless, I opted for things like Reese's cups or potato chips or these candy things. Thank you. And since this is the end of table topics, back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to have our prepared speeches, and we just have the one speech. J.Vaught will be speaking from Pathways, Motivational Strategies, Writing a Speech with Purpose, and His title is The Power of Empower. J.Vaught, The Power of Empower.
Thank you. Spotlight. There we go. All right, today we're going to talk about the power of empowerment. John Maxwell once said, a leader is not great because of their power. They're great because of their ability to empower others. A definition, if I were to give a definition of empower, it's authority or power given to someone to do something. The key word there is given. Now, today I want to demonstrate empowerment in action. First, I'm going to need a volunteer. So I'm looking around the room. How about Mr. Handy? Mr. Handy, would you be willing to help us out today? Okay, thumbs up. You're on mute, by the way, Mr. Handy. Are you able to hear us okay? Okay. Well, thank you for helping us out today, Mr. Handy. I'm going to give you a task. You might think it's a simple task, but I can assure you it's a little more complicated. What we're going to do here, I have a bottle of Montgomery Inn barbecue sauce. Now, folks from Cincinnati will be very familiar with Montgomery Inn's, a famous restaurant, and they have fantastic barbecue sauce. This particular barbecue sauce looks like it's from 1923 or 2023. Hasn't been opened in a very long time. And I'm going to give you the task, Mr. Handy, of opening the lid on this barbecue sauce jar. Mr. Handy, are you ready? Do you accept this task? Fantastic. All right, are you excited? All right, Mr. Handy, are you ready? All right, Mr. Handy, open up this Montgomery sauce barbecue jar. You know, I think there's too much at stake here. I think I'm going to go ahead and open this, and we'll save this for the next time for you, Mr. Handy. And this highlights the number one problem with empowerment, is that to empower somebody, you have to give control. And for a lot of us as leaders, we're unable to give up that control. So how does that make you feel, Mr. Handy? All right, demotivated, demoralized, not very excited. I got you enthused about opening up this jar and giving you this task, and then I snatched it away from you. I was afraid or unwilling to give you power. Let's try it again. Mr. Handy, are you ready? All right, we're going to give you this Montgomery Inn sauce. Open that jar. Everybody with me. Open that jar. Open that jar. Go, Mr. Handy. Go, Mr. Handy. You can do it. Oh, Mr. Handy. I'm sorry you weren't able to do it, but I give you credit for trying. I applaud your effort. How are you feeling, Mr. Handy? You don't feel very happy. You feel frustrated? A little demoralized? Upset that you weren't able to open that jar? But you tried, Mr. Handy. You tried. Let's try it one more time. Mr. Handy, I'm going to give you this jar again. This time, I'm going to give you a little bit of guidance. This little handy rubber thingy can be used to keep your hands from slipping on the cap, and make sure that you turn it counterclockwise. Okay, Mr. Handy, you seem to be making progress here. We might have success. There it is, Mr. Handy, you did it. Now, Mr. Handy, how do you feel? You feel important, don't you? You feel part of the team. You were successful. So empowerment is all about giving control and authority to somebody. And that's maybe the hardest thing as leaders for us to do is to give up that control. The second thing, though, you can't just delegate when you're empowering. Delegate's kind of throwing over the fence. Empowering requires adequate training and guidance. It may require the use of some tools. In the case of this example, Mr. Handy was able to use this tool to help open the cap and a little bit of instructions. Make sure you turn it counterclockwise. And finally, empowerment is about letting people spread their wings and fly. So, as an empowered employee or club member or volunteer or even a child, you become independent, become confident, responsible, become engaged, and ultimately you become happy. It's really a transcendent experience, both for the person that's empowered and the one giving the power. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you. We'll have a minute of silence. Veronica, are you able to time yourself, or do you want someone else to time the minute of silence?
I can time myself. Thank you for asking.
Okay. Image.
Thank you.
Oh, all right. Now I'd like to call on Veronica to give her evaluation of Jeff.
Actually, I believe it should go to the general evaluator, who is J.Vaught today, if that's okay, Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know.
All right, thank you. I'll be the general evaluator today, and we'll turn it immediately over to Veronica for my evaluation.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. All right, forgive me just one moment. My timer went to sleep. Lazy timer. Jeff, I'm speechless, which is very rare. What a novel approach. Really, really clever. Okay, needless to say, when I introduced my evaluation topics about what I was going to cover, I mentioned hand gestures. Little did I know that he would, raise the bar. So Jeff has raised the bar with hand gestures, which were really phenomenal, very clever, very humorous. Vocal variety was good, but it wasn't noticeable. And humor was really, really, really sweet. It was very good. Structure, I didn't quite notice the structure. And I think we jumped in the car and we drove off. I didn't know where we were going, but I had a great time. So all in all, I think it was a great talk. The body language was wrapped up in the hand gestures. I don't see how you could have also walked around the room or done anything else. Where I'm wondering if you were to do the speech again, which I hope you do, I don't know if it could be a competitive speech, if it were a hybrid competition, maybe, would be pauses, pausing for impact. The other thing that I thought was possibly missing was that when I first saw that you were going to have Mr. Handy open the jar, I thought you were going to need to hold the jar while Mr. Handy unscrewed it. And therefore, it would be a training or a cooperative. Sometimes getting people to do this on their own would not be possible. And so, because really, as a club coach, we're working together. One person alone can't be the club. We all work together. Thank you. And back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
And I just reminded myself that I'm the general evaluator. Thank you. Thank you for that, Veronica. That was really good. You're right. I did have some trouble, especially with that first demonstration. I wanted to show some conflict, and I really couldn't because I only have two arms. But thank you for that. Let's move on to our word of the day and grammarian, and that's going to be David Ash.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And so, yes, it is now my duty and honor to give the grammarian report. There really was not a lot of trouble with anyone's speeches. Everyone here is an experienced speaker, and there were not a lot of filler words, not a lot of problems that I noticed. I just didn't myself, but I did not notice that a lot in the speeches. Everyone did two table topics. So in Veronica's first table topics, nothing much to say. In the second table topics for Veronica, she used the word of the day once, which was great. Maybe a couple of filler words and but not a lot of that. Betsy, for your table topics, for the first one, I thought there were maybe slight filler words, not even words that weren't necessarily articulated all that loudly, but it looked like you were maybe saying a couple of filler words. In your second table topics, I noticed you used and as a filler word about 3 times. Not a lot, though. Jeff, in your table topics, I noticed one double clutch the first time, isn't, and then wasn't. That was really all that I noticed. So not a lot to be concerned about. Jeff, in your speech, I noticed you used the word of the day once, and that was great. And I also thought Mr. Handy was very colorful and picturesque word usage. So I like that. And even in a 5 to 7 minute speech, I did not hear a lot of problems with things like filler words or double clutches or that kind of thing. So great. Only other thing to comment on will be Veronica's evaluation. And in Veronica's evaluation, I noticed exactly one double clutch, an if followed by an if, but that was it. So I thought everyone did a great job today in table topics, Jeff's speech, and Veronica's evaluation. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, David, for that great grammarian word of the day, filler word, counter report. And I especially like the fact that Mr. Handy had no filler words today. So congratulations to Mr. Handy. Let's move on to our timer report, Veronica.
Thank you so much, Mr. General Evaluator. The timing for the table topics, I had my first 1 minute and 8 seconds. Betsy was 1 minute. Jeff was 1 minute 51 seconds. And David Ash was 2 minutes and 1 second. On the second round, I was 1 minute 51 seconds. Betsy was 1 minute 17 seconds. Jeff was 2 minutes and 28 seconds, but the topic was really great. And had you stopped it to, we would have been at a cliffhanger to find out whether or not the dog was okay. So I'm glad you went the extra 28 seconds. And then David was 1 minute 43 seconds. Jeff's speech was 5 minutes and 24 seconds, well within time. And then my evaluation was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. David's presentation of the word of the day, etc., was 1 minute and 35 seconds. And I turn it back over to you, Mr. General Evaluator. Everyone did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. I did notice Joe joined us late. I'm going to put him on the spot in a moment. So Joe, I think caught the last part of the meeting. So not yet, Joe, but I'm gonna call on you in a second to give your thoughts on the meeting. But I want to talk about the table topics. I don't think Joe was here for the table topics. First of all, those were fantastic table topics, Halloween themed, and David even brought the little bag along, the little colored orange bag that he pulled. I don't know if you're actually pulling the topics out of the bag, but it looked that was pretty cool. We'll start with David, actually. David talked about his sweet tooth, that he developed a sweet tooth during Halloween. And your favorite thing, this is going to drive me crazy the rest of the day, trying to figure out what these colored strips are. Because I'm picturing all this candy from years ago that you can't find anymore. My favorite was Mallow Cup, which is a Reese cup with marshmallow in it. Anyway, it's pretty clear to me Halloween is a conspiracy by dentists to make more money. Veronica talked about the Day of the Dead, which sounds really ominous, but it really is in other countries. It's a way to honor your ancestors. So a different take on Halloween, maybe than we have here in the United States, where it's all ghouls and goblins and ghosts. Betsy talked about Halloween parties and her social team at work. And this is going to be a double celebration, isn't it, Betsy? Because your birthday is November 1st.
My birthday's the 30th.
30th. Okay, the birthday's before Halloween. I'm sorry. I knew it was a day. So yeah, your 30th and then 31st, you have this big chili cook-off, costume party, and walk. So that sounds all fantastic. And then I talked about my chocolate eating dog. Overall, I thought the meeting went well. Joe, what were your thoughts on the tail end of this meeting? Do you have any thoughts?
Uh, just that I obviously missed a very interesting morning. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to figure out and learn. I've never tried it before to go to our recordings on YouTube, maybe and get some help from somebody to. So yeah, I'll definitely look at it and so on. Um, by the way, it happens to be my birthday this month as well. So, but only sister's only daughter is having her first baby in about no more than 10 days from now, maybe in a week. So I've suggested some names and a date of birth. I don't know if she'll take my advice. Her husband's birthday is on the 10th or on the 20th. So I suggested she try to make it on the 20th. I also suggested a name since their names are in alphabetical order to pick up the next one in line, but I don't know if she'll go with that either.
Well, Joe, that makes way too much sense, and they probably won't take your advice. And I'm not sure that you can pick the day. You might be able to come within a day or two, but
Yeah, well, she's in her situation, it's close, because the way they're doing it induced.
oh, okay, okay.
But anyway,
Well, I'm going to turn it back then. So thank
mhm.
you, and I'm going to turn it back over to our Toastmaster, Betsy Irvin.
Okay, thank you. It was a great meeting. My only issue with candy that when I was a kid was actually at Easter. I think I ate too much and got sick, but I love candy too. And I'm going to, I don't think Joy's here, so did you have a officer meeting today?
Yes, we did.
Okay, did that go all right?
It did. Again, there was a little bit of a small
For
quorum, but
instance,
yeah, small group. But yes, we did meet.
okay. And if there's anything you want my opinion about, yeah, you maybe can send it an email or text. And I think that's about it for today. How did David, was it David or Mr. Henley? How did you enjoy the meeting? Or if you want to give a nod or anything?
Thumbs up.
Okay. All right. So I think that's about it for today. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank
Unless
you.
there's any
Thank you
other
all.
closing remarks. All right. Bye.